Hello everyone! I remember saying a few years ago in what I think was 2020 that I would make a video explaining my OC lore. Lots has changed since then, but I wanted to try the concept anyways. Hahaha. Okay, throughout this presentation, I'll be referencing stuff from my wiki, which is still very much unfinished, but I'm working on it. If you're interested in my little guys, I'd be so honored you check them out. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start off with the geography. As you can see, I expertly crafted together this world map detailing each of the 5 regions, and now that I've kind of looked at it, it kind of resembles the Subway logo, but, that's entirely unrelated. Anyways, moving on. Fistea is the jungle region. It's like this tropical place. Yeah, like a micro jungle. Vorandes is this deserty, arid place. Elysium has this mountain terrain. Solaralis is this forestry plains, and Aetherius is an ice biome. And I didn't label it, but basically from where the end of Fistea and Solaralis is, there's like this ocean that separates Aetherius away from the other 5 regions. The other 5 regions are actually connected. I just kind of have them like a white border around them because I want to show that there's different places, but they're all connected. Aetherius is special. It's like the one that's separated for real, for real. Okay, so the geography continued. Each of these regions are ruled by 5 gods: Ariels, Eliseo, Elias, Alicia, and Ezekiel, each starting with E because they're matching. Each of the regions will generally house characters with a specific type of esoteric class, but people are free to move around for the most part, so mixing classes and hybrids aren't uncommon. And I'll explain what hybrids is in the next slide. Okay, let's talk about mana. Since there's magic in this world, there's got to be a source for it, and I figured that mana would be the best way of explaining it since gamer heads would understand. Yeah. Essentially, you train your mana as though it were a muscle. It will expand to hold more so that you can expel more magic. So you know how gym bros will lift and get physical gains? If you use your esoteric class enough and push its limits, your mana pool will grow and you can hold more, and therefore you'll become stronger. I hope this makes sense because it does in my head, and you're just totally free to ask questions if you're confused and you want to know more. Okay, so here is another expertly crafted visual of what a person's mana pool could look like. I'll be going into more detail about the esoteric class in the following slides, but I'll try to explain the mana system beforehand so it makes sense when I get there. Okay, so I'll come back to this, don't worry. Okay, monotypics, hybrids, and duelists. People who have only one esoteric class are considered to be monotypic, and their entire mana pool will be dedicated to just one esoteric class. So, right here, person A is monotypic. Alright, if a person has more than one, they're called hybrids, and for hybrids, their mana pool is divided into multiple sections. And this is honestly just for balancing because I don't want anyone to be too OP. And just balancing. So this person B here is a hybrid. They have both the biota and elemental esoteric class, and so their mana bank is divided into 2. And then the last one is duelist. It gets a little messy when it comes to the elemental esoteric class because they have a phenomenon called duelist. Duelists are those who have 2 elements, so the elemental class is capable of giving people a max of 2 elements that they can yield. In their cases, their mana banks will be divided similar to hybrids, but since it's under one esoteric class, they're not hybrids. So, yeah. I make this hard for myself though because a duelist is capable of being a hybrid too. And in this case, the mana bank will be divided into 3 parts, and person C is a hybrid and a duelist. So they have an elemental esoteric class, but they have 2 elements, so it looks like this instead. So yeah. Okay, esoteric class. Honestly, I explained everything a lot better on the wiki since writing and reading is a lot easier than talking. And, it's just more coherent, but I'll try to summarize it in words. So, Biotica, you get animal, plants, and fungi powers. Essentially, if you want to think about it, level 1, furries if you want to be crass. One of the characters is Lei, and she gets extra spider appendages, for example. Elemental. You get the powers of the elements like fire, grass, water, etc., etc. It's pretty self-explanatory. Arcana, it's raw energy. It's really nothing that special, but my OCs who are Arcanists, 2 of them are a Yuna and a Loon. They are idols and they make light shows with their esoteric class. So, yeah. I really ought to draw a visual for this one though, because it feels self-explanatory, but I can see it being confusing since everything I'm saying is all in my head, so of course it makes sense to me. Anyways, Sonics. Mind powers, these range from telekinesis to mind reading to whatever other mind-related things go. Yeah. And for Void, That's a spoiler, but if you really want to know, it's on my wiki and right here if you want to pause and read. This one, I don't know. Void's fun. Void's very fun, but honestly, it's supposed to be more of a mysterious class in the actual world. So yeah, it's a spoiler, I suppose. Okay, last line. Luminex, I like to imagine, is a pretty vast world, so there's gonna be a bunch of different stories taking place in it. And I'll go down the list. So, EVO 7 is my oldest one that kicked off this entire series, and it's currently being reworked right now. Yeah, but it's the one that holds dear to me. It's the one with all my like popular, I guess, OCs. Yeah. Sequel oh 07 is like a little spin-off that takes place after the events of EVO 7, and it has their it has their like it sounds so fake, but it has like their future kids kind of, and it's also being reworked. But I think it'll be a little fun. It'll be a little fun when I do share it. It's a big troll. Celestial Eclat is one of my newer ones, but it's honestly my second most developed story at this point. It has Jang, Jian, all those guys, and yeah, it's honestly it's kind of deeper in my head. Like I haven't explained it fully, but yeah, second most developed story. I brought Alun and Yuna back for Luminex, so they have and they have a pretty plotless story. If I'm not gonna lie, it's just their silly adventures around Vorandes because that's where they're from, and I got yeah yeah. And this is not their official name. I haven't thought of it yet, but I just want to specify that Alun and Yuna are in there. So yeah. And then I have two yet to be named stories that will be taking place in Elysium and Aetherius that I haven't talked about yet, but they're living rent free in my head, in the back of my mind. I just need to figure out how I want to share them. But anyways, thank you very, very much for listening to my OC lore dump. I super appreciate it. Thank you very much again. You guys are awesome.